All right, well, good Monday evening to you. I am First Alert meteorologist David Ernst here with a weather update. Now, we're streaming this to our news app. It's going to the website, YouTube, WBAY TV2 Facebook page. If you're watching this on Facebook, you can head over to my page. That is David Ernst, WBAY meteorologist, and follow me there. And if you don't already have it on your mobile device, not a bad idea on a night like tonight to have our free WBAY First Alert weather app on your phone. I've got the QR code right beneath my picture here, so if you're watching this from a desktop or a laptop, you can take out that smartphone and scan the QR code there, and it will take you to the splash page to download the apps for free. You can get interactive radar there, lightning alert sent to your phone, and on a night like tonight, could be severe thunderstorms that will be lighting things up later on. There is a severe thunderstorm watch across much of central and eastern Wisconsin, northern tier of the counties across the state here, where we do have that going until 4 o'clock in the morning. And we'll take a quick look here at First Alert ViperMax, and you can see exactly the reason why we have that severe thunderstorm watch posted. Notice quite the complex of storms that are coming out of Minnesota now into western Wisconsin. 750 lightning strikes on that in a 5-minute period. That is impressive, to say the least, and quite dangerous with that much cloud-to-ground lightning. You certainly would not want to be out when those storms roll through, even if they weren't severe. That much lightning is certainly a hazard in and of itself, but just prolific lightning-producing storms here, especially the southern half of that. You can see to the west of Eau Claire and southwest is where the majority of that lightning activity is. I'm going to change the radar view here for just a minute, and we will go ahead and time this out, show you how fast those storms are moving, and then we will time it out for you without predictors, just kind of ballparking it based on how fast the storms are moving. I have not had a chance to see the most recent runs of predictor. A lot of times, short-term guidance does not handle clusters of storms like this very well, so would not be at all surprised to see that there really isn't any computer guidance out there that has a good handle on this complex of storms. But now that it's up, we will be able to track it for you. Let me just make a quick tweak here. Turn off the precip type, but was trying to paint in the hail there, or at least where the radar thinks there's hail. There's likely is some dime, penny size, maybe even some nickel size hail out of this complex, but I would be most concerned with the heavy rainfall, the lightning, as well as the potential for damaging wind gusts. So we'll use the radar site out of Minneapolis. So what I'm going to do is you'll see me draw a few things on the screen. The first thing that I will do is draw a line on here that's going to be the leading edge of these thunderstorms. So that's where things are right now. My timestamp on here, I'm going to set this back 1 hour, and we're going to see where the storms were an hour ago, and then we're going to measure this out, and that'll give us a current speed as to how quickly they are moving, and from there we can then talk about how long until they get here. So about 50 miles an hour. So let me go ahead then and switch back over to the camera here. We'll zoom the map out, and so again, 50 miles an hour from right now, or 50 miles an hour is the present speed, so now we'll just do some quick math. So 150 miles, that would give you 3 hours or so to Marinette County, Fox Valley as well. You're looking at, again, just outside of the Fox cities here in 3 hours from now, so that would roughly put you at, let's see, it's 9:15 right now, so a little after midnight. Somewhere in the midnight to 1 a.m. time frame, should start to see that activity rumbling on into the Fox Valley, or at least points to the west. So storms are moving pretty quickly. Let me go ahead and clear everything off the screen. Maybe. All right, so now we'll catch it back up to current time, and I'm just going to do, you won't be able to see this, I'm just going to query these storms individually here and just get a rundown of the threat. So yeah, 60 mile per hour wind gusts with the storms around Eau Claire. The next warning, let's see, 60 mile per hour wind gust, penny size hail. So these are severe storms by definition. 60 miles per hour will get you there. Damaging wind gusts could certainly pose a risk to any property outside, any loose items in the yard. So be looking for these storms getting here in the next 3 hours or so, 3 to 4 hours. Should be about how long it will take them as they are moving at a speed of around 50 miles per hour. Now, given the motion of how things are progressing, I would expect the northern branch to start kind of fizzling out. That looks to be the trend that we're seeing. Meanwhile, that southern branch likely does hold together. In fact, I'll go ahead and put a 3-hour loop in here. And so the expectation here is going to be for this complex of storms to essentially spread out like this and then right down through the southern end of it might even spread a little farther south of the watch box, just how things are tracking. But that'll put it right on into the Fox Valley here, again, within the next 3 hours or so. At that point, you're looking at the damaging wind threat, a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning, so you could lose power in this. Jeff saying, Twin Cities media, about 90,000 customers without power. Wouldn't be surprised if that number goes up a little bit more before it goes down, as these storms certainly looked pretty formidable as they were cutting right across that heavily populated area. So as they get into central Wisconsin tonight, likely that they would maintain some degree of intensity. They're right now what I would consider a baseline severe thunderstorm. That's not to say you take it less seriously, but at least these storms aren't producing 70, 80 mile per hour winds or something like that. But they likely do hold together as they get on into the region. So let's take a look at the weather conditions leading into this. We are in the upper 70s, lower and middle 80s, but it is still feeling very uncomfortable out there. At least it was. I was out at the Howard Farmers Market, and it was quite sticky. Dew point of 73, that even seems low for Green Bay. Everybody else is mid-70s, 81 in Wautoma. That is just tropical air. I can't tell you the last time I saw a dew point in the lower 80s around the Fox Valley. That is incredibly humid air. And as a result of that, we had a pretty significant jump from the air temperature to the heat index today, and I suspect at this hour, still feeling like 91 in Appleton, 94 for a heat index in Wautoma, and of course, the sun has been down for about an hour and a half at this point, so it's very uncomfortable out there to say the least, and that means that these thunderstorms will have some fuel to work with as they get into the region, just given how hot and sticky it is at the ground. In fact, what tends to happen is the storms themselves will essentially just move along their own outflow. So as they kick out the rain-cooled air out in front of it, that actually acts like a cold front and propagates the storm motion and keeps it going forward as it keeps throwing that cold air out in front of it. So that acts, like I said, as a mini cold front and gives you the lift to keep those storms going. So we'll keep your severe weather outlook between moderate and high. Strong to severe storms would be expected late tonight. It's not going to be something we see in the next hour or two, but 11 o'clock through 1 a.m. or so, given how the storms were tracking about 50 miles an hour is what we measured here just a minute ago. And then tomorrow, we will likely face another hot and sticky day with heat index up around 95 or above, and some spotty storms are also possible. As far as the risk for tornadoes would go, in an event like this, you tend not to see much tornado activity. Now, what can happen, and I'll go ahead and stop the radar here just to illustrate a point, where you see the line kind of bend in. So let me go ahead and get my arrows, or not arrows, but we'll draw a little line here. So where you see the line kind of bow out in front like this, and you see this segment kind of bowing out in its own separate direction, right in the middle, there's a little bit of a kink. Now, I guess let me change the color here. It doesn't really stand out too well on the radar as is. So we'll change that over to a blue color just so it sticks out a little bit more, so I can kind of illustrate what we were looking at here. Let me get my line tool back. Well, see if I pop it in. No, of course not. It's not giving me the, there we go. It wasn't giving me the option to change the color. We'll change her over to a nice shade of blue. How about that? All right, let's erase what's on there. Okay, so what I was attempting to illustrate, you can see where the storm cluster is kind of bowing out right there, and then you see a separate little bowing segment right there. That little kink in the middle, that's where you can get spin-up tornadoes. So, this is an event where you never say never, but the risk for tornadoes is a lot lower compared to that of straight-line winds. So odds are if we have warnings come out, they would be severe thunderstorm warnings and for damaging wind gusts. There could be some small hail. We did have some penny-sized hail reported out of the northern branch of those storms. The southern branch, the warnings coming out are just for winds. Now, it's possible there is some pea or dime-sized hail, but by and large, this is going to be a wind-producing storm system, and as you saw, they are very prolific lightning-producing storms. When we first checked in, there were 750 or so lightning strikes in a 5-minute period, and excuse me. As of right now, we're up to 800 and almost 830. So again, very prolific lightning-producing storms. They are quite intense with damaging winds and a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning, so take them seriously when they get here in the next 3 hours or so. We'll go ahead. I'm going to open up First Alert Pinpoint Predictor here. Now, as I mentioned, Predictor may not have the best handle on these storms. I'm going to go ahead and change the source that we're looking at here. This is a higher resolution model that refreshes a little bit faster. And you can see it's starting to pick up on the trend. So here we are midnight, and you can see that complex 1 a.m. just outside of the Fox cities, and by 2 a.m. right on through the Fox Valley. And this might even be a touch on the slow side. So it may be an hour or so ahead of schedule, and then working its way again on this run offshore by 3 o'clock. Given how things have looked thus far, I would say that Predictor might be a little bit too slow in bringing those storms in. I'll take a closer look at that here coming up before 10 o'clock and adjust the timing to kind of line up with what I expect to happen based on how quickly these storms are moving. Megan, there probably is not too much of a discernible drop in intensity. The only thing that I could see happening if the southern storms that you see around Eau Claire really start to take off and dive down to the south towards, say, Madison or Milwaukee, it's possible that it does choke off some of the moisture to the northern storms. We do see that happen at times, but I would expect those storms to pretty much ride right along where that watch is drawn. And so that's going to put them right on into the Fox Valley. So again, the watch box that I'm talking about is the yellow outline there. So I would expect most of those storms to track right along the southern border of that, right on into the Fox cities here. And again, they're moving at about 50 miles per hour. They're 150 miles or so away. So you figure in the next 3-4 hours, they ought to get here. Jessica, just depends on the timing of everything. Our typical severe weather time frame would be right in the middle of the afternoon, anywhere from 3 p.m. through about 9 o'clock. But you get these complexes of storms coming through. We've got a large area of high pressure anchored to our south. And so really it just is a matter of where the impulse is that's firing these storms up in the afternoon. If the energy was right overhead, they'd pop up right here. But as it happened today, everything fired up with energy off to the west, and now they're tracking into the area. And when you get into the northwestern flow like we have above us right now, that is something that can happen. Storms initiate to your west and then track on into the region. But the timing really just comes down to a matter of luck. More than anything else in terms of where the various weather features are at the time that storms pop up. So, sometimes they come in and it's more of a nighttime event. Other times it's more of a traditional timing where we do see them, play out during the heat of the afternoon. But even though this is coming through at night, the storms will certainly have enough moisture and heat to work with at the ground, and they will propagate, like I said, on their own outflow. Wind is more so a problem compared to the hail. There may be some small hail out of these cells, but so far I've not seen any warnings issued for anything larger than penny size. But 60 to 70 mile per hour winds would be possible, and they probably don't diminish too much in intensity as they're getting into our area. They're going to continue kicking out that cool air out in front of them, so I would expect them to at least maintain the forward speed they've got, and then there's really nothing to mitigate it other than hot air aloft. So it's possible they run into a little bit more of a cap as they get farther east, but that would really be about the only thing that would lead to those storms diminishing, is if they run into some air that's maybe a little bit more stable. Sean, up towards, or I guess it was Steve asking about Stevenson. You're a little farther north. It's possible that the southernmost storms kind of take over as the night wears on. I would still expect that you do get some rain and some thunder and lightning out of this complex, but the storms may not be as intense up your way into Menominee County, Michigan, compared to farther south. The area I would be most concerned with is going to be right around the Fox Valley. It's the southern branch of the storms that seem to be kind of looking a little bit more intense, at least on the radar. And so those would be the storms. I'll go ahead and put an arrow on here. Essentially from right there just to the north of Eau Claire. And, you know, you would expect those to head right towards Green Bay and then kind of straddling the watch line towards Fond du Lac. So that's kind of the cluster of the complex or the core of those storms where I would be most concerned about. That's not to say the northern branch won't hold together either. It certainly could, and we do still have warnings along those. It'll be a long night here in the First Alert Weather Center for sure, but we'll keep an eye on all of this and let you know how things are tracking. Earlier in the evening, it looked like it was, at least on Predictor, the northern branch that was being favored, and at this point, it looks to be more southerly. So with that, we'll go ahead. I'll take a quick run through here of the highs and lows and then leave you with the extended forecast. It is a First Alert Weather Day tonight for those strong storms, and tomorrow it'll be a First Alert Weather Day for the heat. So these are your low temperatures, lower 70s and upper 60s to start the day. As we get into the afternoon, like today, we're going to see upper 80s, lower 90s, so it's going to be a hot and sticky day once again tomorrow. We would see heat index values like they were this afternoon, 95 and above. And so it'll be an afternoon of dangerous heat. Make sure that you're staying hydrated. If you're going to be working out in this heat, you do need to have plenty of water. And in fact, even during the evening and nighttime hours, it's good to be hydrated up so you're ready to go right off the bat in the morning. Heat index wise, mid 90s to around 100, and there could be some spots that do get even above 100 degrees for tomorrow. After this, though, we do see a nice little drop off in the heat. Now, it'll take a couple more days for the humidity to go away, but as far as those air temperatures go, we're looking at highs, upper 70s and lower 80s starting on Wednesday. So tomorrow's our last hot day, but the humidity likely does hang on through Wednesday or Thursday. As we get into your Labor Day weekend, temperatures will be trending cooler. We'll see our nights down in the 50s, maybe even some 40s by Monday night, Tuesday next week. And temperatures in the afternoon will be in the 70s for highs. So it is going to be cooling down, but we do still have some active weather to get through out ahead of that. So again, there is a severe thunderstorm watch posted until 4 o'clock in the morning. I suspect it will be over and done with by that time. Storms are moving at about 50 miles an hour, so I would expect them into the Fox Valley by midnight to 1 a.m., and they could be on the stronger side when they get here. Likely that they would pose the same risks that they're posing right now. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, a lot of lightning, and heavy rainfall. So we'll have the latest coming up here on Action 2 News at 10 o'clock in about a half an hour. Stay safe tonight and stay safe in the heat tomorrow.